I got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about today. Shawn Ryan part 2, because that interview was absolutely incredible and debunked so many things. We couldn't even get to it all yesterday. Alabama teacher losing her socks on her own kids. Chicago man sets a woman on fire, which is absolutely insane, charged with terrorism. Mamdani is still stupid. And Jasmine Crockett is the dumbest woman on planet Earth. Welcome to the Officer Tatum Show.
If you don't believe that we are in a fight today, you're sleeping under a rock. If you get hit and you lay down and you cry and you fold up in the corner, definitely you will not win the fight. We show up to win. Our culture needs a lot of you young people in here to step up and stand out. There is nothing or no principality, power, division, devil can stop us when we're united. They can only get you when you're divided. When I see the American flag, I see us progressing to something that can be awesome and great. And if you don't plan on winning then, you might as well go on the day.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell so you get notifications anytime I go live. Y'all already know what to do. Let's get into this. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk about Jasmine Crockett. When I said at the beginning she's the dumbest woman on planet Earth, I wasn't exaggerating. These people are so ridiculous that I got to make a video about them. Let's pull up the clip of Jasmine Crockett. She go off and she get in grandstand and do all this talking and wronger than 3 left shoes on an 8-legged man. Roll the clip.
You talked about Republicans taking money from a Jeffrey Epstein. Here's what you said.
Who also took money from somebody named Jeffrey Epstein, as I had my team dig in very quickly. Mitt Romney, the NRCC, Lee Zeldin, George Bush, Win Red, McCain Palin, Rick Lazio.
Hold on, Shawty. Hold on, pause it. If you guys ever set me up like this, you're fired. I can put that in the termination documents. If you ever do research for me and get it this bad, I can't. We got a clean house. All right. You'll find out what I'm talking about in a second. Roll the clip.
You mentioned Lee Zeldin there. He's now a cabinet secretary. He responded and said it was actually Dr. Jeffrey Epstein, who's a doctor that doesn't have any relation to the convicted sex trafficker. Unfortunate for that doctor, but that is who donated to a prior campaign of his. Do you want to correct the record on the people that you...
Listen, I never said that it was that Jeffrey Epstein. Just so that people understand, when you make a donation, your picture is not there. And because they decided to spring this on us in real time, I wanted the Republicans to think about what could potentially happen, because I knew that they didn't even try to go through the FEC. So my team, what they did is they Googled. And that is specifically why I said a Jeffrey Epstein. Unlike Republicans, I at least don't go out and just tell lies. Because it was not the same one, that's fine. But when Lee Zeldin had something to say, all he had to say was it was a different Jeffrey Epstein. He admitted that he did receive donations from a Jeffrey Epstein, so at least I wasn't trying to mislead people. Now, have I dug in to find out who this doctor is? I have not. So I will trust and take what he says, is that it wasn't that Jeffrey Epstein, but I was not attempting to mislead anybody. I literally had maybe 20 minutes before I had to do that debate.
Yeah, but people might see that and say, well, you're trying to make it sound like he took...
Heavenly Father, somebody help me. Did she just get on CNN and try to make an excuse for her using the wrong Jeffrey Epstein and then said, well, it didn't have to be the right Jeffrey Epstein? You just blasted a man saying Jeffrey Epstein, associating him with the pedophile, that he was paying money to Republicans. Ma'am, just say we messed up. You getting on here blaming your staff and then say you only had 20 minutes before this? You put another man out here blasting him as if he's Jeffrey Epstein. What is happening here? Finish the clip.
Took money from...
I did not know.
A registered sex offender.
No, but I literally did not know. When you search FEC files, and that's what I had my team to do, I texted them and I said, listen, we're going up. They are saying that she took donations.
Right, but someone might say, well, your team should have done the homework to make sure it wasn't the convicted sex trafficker.
Within 20 minutes, you could not find that out, not from just doing a quick search on FEC. So, number one, I made sure that I was clear that it was a Jeffrey Epstein, but I never said that it was specifically that Jeffrey Epstein, because I knew that we would need more time to really dig.
First of all, I could see a lawsuit happening. Y'all, I can't believe this. I can't believe it. Grant, when you told me that this was bad, there's no way I thought it was this bad. She's literally justifying the fact that she put another man's name out there because her team couldn't research this in 20 minutes. If you can't find out the truth, don't say nothing. And that's not an excuse. You picked the wrong entire person. And people are probably going to the SEC filings and looking at Jeffrey Epstein and they're looking at all this stuff and then they're going after him. Jasmine, come here. Jasmine. I know that weave and that perm and that glue that you put in your hair to keep them tracks in there. I know it's probably messing with your brain. But at some point, you got to stop being silly and sensational or trying to sensationalize these things and operate in facts and reality. You don't have to make Republicans look bad in order to make your point, sis. All you got to do is just find out the truth to say, I don't have any information about who gave money to what, which could be suspicious in and of itself. Just say that, sis. Just say that. Dumbest woman on planet Earth. Now, in the comment section, I want y'all to give it a rating. Who do you think is dumber than Jasmine Crockett? That is the most embarrassing thing I've ever heard. You put it in the comment section. Let's get to Brian Harpole, who was the security operator, the lead security contractor for Charlie Kirk on the day that he was, for years, almost a decade. But the day that he was actually assassinated, there's a couple other clips that I want to play for you. And this is only for the people that want to know the truth. For all of y'all that want confirmation bias, for all of y'all that's in a cult, and you're just going to believe whatever you want to believe no matter what the facts say, I'm not talking about you. You can sit back and watch and comment that I'm getting paid $7,000 if you want. Do whatever you want to do. I couldn't care less. But I want the people who want to know the truth and are open-minded to listening to people who were actually there, people who actually knew Charlie, people who actually protected Charlie with their lives. Their lives. It's easy. It's easy for people to go out and say, woulda, coulda, shoulda, woulda, did, winna, coulda, shoulda. Anybody can say that. Anybody can support a man that they didn't know. But you're telling me that you're closer to the situation or you care more about the situation than a man that put his life on the line every day for Charlie Kirk. And that he just gonna make up of something, but all the rest of the people ain't. All right, let's get to it. And this clip specifically, I wanted to put the clip in because it's another scenario about the hospital and medical response that people have made a conspiracy out of, right? Where's the ambulance? Why there was no ambulance? Why did they stay? He gonna explain it to you and I'll explain in more detail because I was a law enforcement officer and I know how these things work. Roll the clip.
Then do you have the routes to all the venues, more specifically the hospital? Do you have multiple routes?
Yeah,
to the hospital?
what we do on that one is, we're not there for 2 weeks, but we start working that for 2 weeks, and that all gets plugged in. Where are we going? And the one that we went to was the closest one, but it was a level 3. Yeah, we knew that. The next closest one was another 7 minutes away. We're going to the closest one, yeah, and we beelined it to there. And I'll get into how we got there and what we did on the way in a minute. But yeah, all that's plugged in. All that it's information and it's known. And we have a guy that, even though that route's pre-done, even though that's known, we still have a guy in there that's calling it out in real time on that right side. I mean, he's nav, and that nav is important, because the guy's driving, and we needed Justin, the expert, drove that day, like, phew, man, yeah, incredible. And so, yeah, all that's known beforehand. And so when people said, oh, you should have an ambulance there, it's like, well, one, I can't make the city put an ambulance there. Mm-hmm. Now, there is a Utah law that says for mass gatherings like that, a Utah law says that for mass gatherings, a health officer needs to be assigned. I don't assign them. The PD does, whoever does. And then it says, in that law, it says that they may determine where an ambulance is on standby. And I'm like, okay, well, they did have standby UTV medical there. But I can't make them make that, right? Mm-hmm. And first rule of emergency medicine, when an EMT goes, because I've done this. If you don't walk into the room when you're doing your skills portion and say, hey, is the scene safe? They fail you and you're done. Right? And so those medics that were around that buggy were nowhere to be found. Why? Because they're taking cover like everybody else. And so, and the type of wound that we had, it's not a wait till the ambulance gets there.
Yeah.
And I'll talk about that and what the doc said and transport and all that. So all that was known and all that's done in the workup.
Now let me speak to this real quick because people don't understand this. When you have a shooting, I think people, and this is, I hope that you show this to somebody. People think that if a person gets shot in a shooting, that the medical staff is going to attend to that person. They're not. They're not coming to help you. They have to wait till the scene is safe. They don't have bulletproof vests. They don't have guns. So they're not going to show up to the scene. They're not going to help Charlie. They have no legal obligation to help Charlie if he gets shot. They're not going to come to his rescue. They're going to flee. And the medical response team, like the ambulance, they're not protected. They are not going to get Charlie. Let me give you an example of my first world experience of this. We had a guy, and it was a drug deal gone bad. He ended up getting shot. We extract him. He's sympathetic breathing. We took a round to the head. A third of his brain was missing. So he wasn't going to make it. But since he was sympathetically breathing, we had to try to rescue him. So we went through this whole process, and I'm not going to explain it. It was incredibly graphic. I had brain matter and blood on my face and shoes and all this other stuff trying to rescue this guy. But the ambulance, they will not come to the scene if it's not safe. So they parked a half a block down the street. So they gave us a gurney that we had to go get from the medical staff and run it a half a block down the street. We put him on the gurney. We could only get half his body on the gurney because he was heavy and bloody and all this other stuff. We couldn't even get him on. We barely can get him on the gurney. I'm running him in an active scene. Shots have been fired. I'm running with the team, holding his legs while they push the gurney a half a block to the ambulance. They're not gonna come save you. You don't have time to wait for them to respond or not in an environment that's an active scene. So this is why they stage vehicles there. And if anything happened, they have tourniquets, they have quick clot, they have sucking chest wound, they have a whole kit that they can dress Charlie on the way to the hospital. They do not have time to wait for the staff that's probably running for their life somewhere. They're not going to drive a truck when the shots are being fired. It's never going to happen. So I'm glad that that came up because people need to understand that. This is probably why you can't control where they put the ambulance at. And if an active situation happened, they're not coming anyway. And they got to get the man to the hospital as fast as they can. And if you look at the time, it was faster for them to load him in the car and drive him to the nearest hospital than to wait for the ambulance to get there, to try to put him on a stretcher, to put him in the bed. They gotta put stuff on him and they drive away. They may be going through traffic. They're in an ambulance. That's not gonna drive as fast as a SUV. You can run a light in an SUV. You can. You make sure it's clear, you run through the light. You can get there a lot faster. Take him right into the emergency room. Boom, it's done. All right, let's get to the next clip. We got another clip of the text messages, which is what I didn't address yesterday. And this is the text message from the security team to law enforcement officers. And I'm going to address that too. He's going to address a little bit, but I'll give you a little more deep understanding of it. Roll the clip.
To say, why didn't they? That's the question for them. And so there was that one. The site, man, it wasn't up to us. 2 drones. I can't break the law to do something I want to do. Otherwise, I'd have showed up with an APC.
With the drones, I mean, you were in coordination with local police department, correct?
No, that the UVU has jurisdictional authority. It's their campus. Orem is the outside city. They weren't there because they hadn't asked. They hadn't been asked to come by, and we can't ask them to come. I can't call Orem PD and say, hey, man, send me 10 guys. I can't do that. I don't have the authority to do that.
All right, let me
or the budget.
Right, so what he's saying is that he don't have the authority to make any local law enforcement respond to the scene. He would be able to talk to the police department, the local police department, maybe even hire them on a budget to hire off-duty cops or whatever the case may be. But when you're on a campus, you can't ask an outside agency to help the campus. You can't do that because they don't have jurisdiction. The campus has to make the request to the PD for them to use their resources. And if they don't do that, you don't have access to that. It's jurisdictional. You don't have access as an EP team to make the university do anything. If the university says that we're not going to provide law enforcement, you can't do anything about it. And you can't go out and get law enforcement, an outside agency, to operate on their campus. Because if they don't want their law enforcement officers, they may not want any law enforcement officers on their campus because it's a liability. So EP can't just make local law enforcement do what they want to do. Let me just explain it this way. We think because Charlie is important to us that we should be able to do all these things. Charlie, according to protocol and jurisdictional guidelines, he don't mean nothing to the police department. He's no different than a person on campus doing the drums and playing the bass guitar and saying, I want PD just because I want PD next to me. It don't really work that way. Finish clip.
Mm-hmm. But the city, the school PD has an MOU or mutual aid agreement with them. Why not just call them and say, hey, can you guys send us 10 guys over here for Overwatch, all that? And I say that only because we had previously talked about areas of responsibility. Mm-hmm. And then the areas of responsibility, and I had and our guys all have not only an area of responsibility, but there's a job in a job. So you have your area and you have a job for that area, but then you also know the guy's area and job next to you in case he goes down or something, you have to backfill him. And then we have the bubble around the protectee. And mathematically, 2,000 people are in front of you. Where's mathematically the threat coming from?
The front.
Right. And so we're looking for walk-ups, people walk up, setting down a package, walking away, displaying a firearm, everything from throwing balloons full of piss to muriatic acid. We've had all kind of stuff thrown on us over the years. And so there's a reason why those things are set up that way. And there's a reason why those guys that day were set up around there. Every guy has a job. Every guy has a detail. Every guy knows the guy's job next to him. And so we have that set. And then other people have areas of responsibility. Well, the Monday before the event, we were still working through the arrival. And so we have concerns with rooftops. We got a location that we're not keen with. We know what our responsibility is. We know what our statutory authority is. We know that we can't go up and set up our guys in sniper observer positions. It's not going to be allowed. And so we have some correspondence with the chief of the school on that day, on Monday before Charlie was killed. And why this hadn't come out and why he won't stand up like a man and admit this, I don't know. But he's watching a bunch of men lose their careers, and he's okay with it. On Monday before, this correspondence went to Chief Long. Hello, Chief Long. We received this message today from the student group. There is a student roof access pretty close to where CK will be set up at the Utah Valley. The Sorensen Center has a couple of staircases that go up to walkways on the roofs. He comes back, and for edification, the Sorensen Center was the building in front of the Lucy Center. And so he comes back and he says, you want access to the roof. And came back and said, I was told students have access above us. If this is true, it would be nice to either have it controlled access or allow one of my guys to be there as well, if possible. He comes back, and his last correspondence was, I got you covered. What else am I to do? When a command level person from an accredited police department says, I've got this area,
Jeez.
Now let me interject real quick. A few things. There's a few issues here, and then there's a few clarifying points here. One of the issues here, and I think this was a I don't want to say failure on their part, but I think this could have been done differently. Let me say it this way. My team will do it differently. If I'm going to an event, which I'm never going to an event outside, probably never again, because it costs way too much money at this point, and the students are vulnerable. I can't protect the students. I can only pay to protect myself, and I don't want to put them in a bad situation. So indoor events are going to be the way of the time moving forward for everybody's protection. You got to have an advanced team. And I don't know if they had an advanced team, which I think was a problem. Because what does an advanced team do? An advanced team, and this is what my guys do. Before I go to an event, even indoors, they go out before me. They go to the venue. They walk the venue. They check all the access points. They check the vulnerabilities. They coordinate with the venue. This is ingress, egress. This is where Brandon's coming in at. This is where the security area is at. They diagnose if something happened, like the last event I was at the Prager event. My guy tells me, if it hit the fan, I'm grabbing you, we're going out this way. He's not worried about nobody else there. If I grab you, you and your wife coming with me, and we're going out this door right here. And we're going to get into the vehicle and drive off. So you got to have an advanced team. That means you go to the venue, you walk the venue, you check the venue, you get all of that stuff prepared. Now, he's gotten some criticism because of the text message, which I think is fair to a certain degree, because he has a point, and then also he's opened himself up to criticism based on a few things. If you can scroll back to that text message so we can see it on the screen, but the text message, he says, I think the chief says, do you want access to the roof? I don't think it says, do you want us to have access to the roof? Let's go back to it. It reads, let's see where I'm at. You want access to the roof. This is what it said. Now, the chief may argue that I asked him, did they want access to the roof? He said, I was told students the access above us, it'd be nice either to have control access or allow one of my guys to be there as well if possible. The chief says, I got you covered. So I would like my guy to make sure that you know what he know and he know what we talking about. Because you can take I got you covered in a different way than I got you covered mean I'm gonna allow you to do what you want you to do. I'm gonna allow you to have access to the roof. Advanced team should have occurred. And in a situation like that, I think it's a fair criticism that you got to make sure, if you feel that there's a threat, you got to make sure that they actually did what they said they were going to do. You can't make them do it, but if they're saying we got guys on the roof, you need to make sure, okay, where are your guys located? How many guys you have on the roof? Report back to me what you got, chief. The chief seems to be cool with it. Also, it sounds like the chief was open to giving them access to the roof. So then you say, well, we're going to go. Let me make sure Chief is good with us getting access, because we rather have access than these cops. Because a lot of times these cops don't do EP. These cops don't do threat level stuff like this unless they're SWAT and counter sniper. And if they're just patrol cops working off duty or they just campus cops, they don't have that experience, especially with the 360 coordination. That's another part of what we should do. Also, my security team knows, and my head of security, in every event that we do, we have a contract stipulation. If you cannot secure the scene for Brandon Tatum when he get there, he will not come to the event. He's going to cancel the event, and you have to do your due diligence to reschedule it. But if there's any level of threat that leaves him open, there's no event. We're not going. And I'm just going to tell y'all what it is. And Erica will attest to this probably too. Charlie knew that there was threats to him, but Charlie did not live in fear. He was going to do what he wanted to do. I guarantee you that people probably told him, you can't do events outside. We cannot protect you. But I see Charlie's point in saying, I'm going to put it in the Lord's hands and I'm just going to do my job. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because there's a balance to saying, I'm going to put my faith in me and I'm going to put my faith in the Lord. And then there's a balance in the middle that says, I'm going to put my faith in me and the Lord, you know what I'm saying? To be honest. But how much faith do you put? Do you live in fear and say, I can't do any events anymore because I can't make 100% I don't get killed in these events? I don't know if it's possible. I was doing events with zero security. Charlie had, now, of course, his threat level was higher than mine. But I mean, Charlie had these guys, a whole team, millions of dollars worth of security every year. I had zero. I went on UC Davis with just me. And I was willing to swing on people. Now I realize that was the dumbest thing I could ever did, because somebody could have pulled a gun and shot me and I'd have been done, no matter how well I could fight. But I do want people to understand that you got to be balanced in the criticism. Like, there is open criticism for what they did or did not do. But then that's hindsight, because Charlie has a responsibility too. And, you know, that goes together with the team. For instance, if I do an event and I feel like my security don't, report back to me. If y'all don't feel like I'm safe, I'm not doing it. And if my security suggests that I'm not safe and I do it anyway, then what I'm doing is putting my hands I'm putting my trust in the Lord. Okay, I think we got another clip. We got one more clip. Hand signals. Clip 203.
There's a lot of chatter on the internet about hand and arm signals, from the security team. There's been concerns about it from my own personnel that work here. I've worked security details, done a lot of sniper work.
Did you ever use hand and arm signals?
I used hand and arm signals every single time on every detail, everywhere I went. And, one of the rumors was, he's got the ball cap. He did the ball cap wiggle. That's the Marine Corps sniper. I've done a lot of sniper operations. Nobody wears ball caps.
So that was my lead question. You ever use hand signals? And it's like, yes.
Yes.
Were your hands...
And you would already establish, I'm going to cover for you here, because this is a rumor that I just hate.
I know.
Because that is what it takes. You can't be on the radio all the time because you're tying the net up. We had already established that you had other security professionals within the crowd that you're trying to communicate with, and that's how you do it. That is how you do it.
Well, I'll speak to this one. You're using hand signals, or if you were to use hand signals, and those are an option, especially like under MBG or things like that. One, are those hand signals normal ones that you would see during normal gesticulation, or those definitive hand signals? Mm-hmm. They're definitive, so that they can't be confused with a guy scratching his ass. Mm-hmm. And so that's the first one. The second one is that hand signal, when a bubble team is there, we're not using hand signals. Sniper details, absolutely. Why? Because you can see that. Are we looking around at each other looking for hand signals? Mm. We're looking at in the front in our area of responsibility. If we needed to relay a message, then we would, hey, right here on comms. Right? And or we're notorious for, if I need to get somebody's attention on the team, I'm not going to sit there and use a hand signal if he's in my line of sight. I'm just going to go like that. He's going to look up and I'm going to go. Mm-hmm. And so if I looked up and did a hand signal on the team and did that or that, he's going to look at me like, so what do you want me to do then? Mm-hmm. Right? So for that's not good communication. It has to be definitive. It has to be necessary.
It could be an acknowledgement.
Absolutely.
I mean,
yep. Received.
Get me out of here.
Yep. You're right. Absolutely. Yeah. And what you're doing there is deliberate. Yeah. These are deliberate.
Right?
Yeah. So, no, we don't use hand signals on that one. We didn't use hand signals that day. We've never used hand signals other than the general ones.
Yeah, let me talk to the hand signal thing. I just want people to, I think he cleared it pretty good, but I want people to understand, like, if you're going to criticize hand signals, have question about hand signals, you need to have a an actual reason behind what do you think the hand signal actually did and mean to a certain person or situation. When you get a guy doing this, that don't represent anything. And especially when you see a guy do this and somebody take a shot. When you're shooting at 200 yards, you're not waiting for a person to give you a signal because you can't be looking at him and looking at the target at the same time. You will miss the target. Charlie is moving. He drops the. What happened was the guy caught onto his pattern. He asked a question. He put the mic down and sit back. He does this and that. You don't have time to be on point with somebody, wait for a hand signal, and then try to catch Charlie in his movement. That's not happening. So when you go to say the hand signal is suspicious, you got to determine why it's suspicious and what does it actually represent. Hand signals are universal for the most part, where people are using tactical hand signals. It's the same thing. Like a person that have tactical experience will see a hand signal and be like, oh, that's a hand signal for that. It's not going to be some random. That means something. No, it don't. Nobody, that's crazy. And also the guy doing this, he's just adjusting his sleeves. He's not communicating with anybody on the ground. And you think he's communicating with the sniper? You don't need, if you're sniping somebody, you don't need hand signals to tell you when to shoot. A sniper already knows that when this person hit this, because a sniper needs to have a few things that they need to do when they're shooting. This is one thing that people may not understand. When you're shooting on a platform at a distance like that, you got to control breathing and you have to control trigger pull. And so when you're lined up, you can't be going off of somebody else's movements. You have to go off of when you are at the bottom of your breathing. Slow pull to the rear. Boom. You can't be operating out. You're probably at the top of your breath when they do the hand signal. You breathing. That's not how you do it. You have to go at your own rhythm as a person that's doing a long distance shooting. Pow. It has to be your own rhythm. So hand signals wouldn't matter in this situation. All right, I think I got one more. I think they're saying we got clip 204, and this is about First Amendment, conspiracy theories. Roll the clip.
I'm not a conspiracy theory guy, but I do believe that there are things out there bigger than you and I that are in operations. Mm-hmm. It's a fact. I also am a huge believer in the First Amendment. And so these people that are out there saying all this, back up. Why is the First Amendment so important? Because back in the day when our founding fathers said, man, why do we need this amendment first? And because a voice is an arms for people that don't have arms. That's what it was for. It was a collective or a single voice could be powerful to a hierarchy of people that can't be conquered with an arm. So we have to have this voice, and we have to protect this voice at all costs. And they said, and they wanted us to have that, and that's why they put it first. And it should be used as a shield. Well, nowadays with the media, and now social media, that right has been used as a sword, and the sword of public opinion. It's like, hey, well, let's just put a bunch of lies out there and claim First Amendment, and we can say whatever we want. And it's like, when's that stop? And literally whatever you want. You've seen some of the idiocy out there. Palm gun, exploding microphone, hand signals. It's like, it doesn't even have to be true, and it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. And so you're just using that First Amendment as a sword and not a shield. And we gotta step back at that and look at it. I was talking to your guys earlier, and I was like, at some point you put those people in the Wayback Machine. And the Wayback Machine is you take them to 1985. And when people said something that was untrue about you or your family, and they said something bad about you that other people heard, you split their lip.
There's a consequence.
An immediate consequence. Not a consequence that comes through a lawsuit 3.5 years later, an immediate consequence, so that a level of respect is gained. And then also, hey, if you do this again, I'll see you next time as well.
All right, so I don't know how, I'm trying to decipher what he's saying when it comes to this, but I agree with what he's saying when it comes to, there's a difference between the First Amendment and weaponized speech. And in America, you can do either one, but there's laws against defaming people and all this other stuff. But I think that when he says the Wayback Machine and pretty much the confrontation of people who are saying these things intentionally in a negative, demonstrative way, or not even that, in a negative, evil, destructive way, we got to say something about it. And this is why I'm saying what I'm saying and why I'm targeting these ideas out there that are just flat out lies. It's not okay. If a person in good faith is saying, I'm using my First Amendment speech against the government who is trying to tell us that it's something that's happening that is not happening, and I have evidence to the contrary, and I want to get those things out there because it's for the betterment of the people, I'm for that. But what some people are doing is that they know it's not true. They just know people want to hear stuff. So they will say anything to get you to think about something just to deceive you. I mean, for somebody to say, like, for instance, let me just say this real quick. When I talk about these topics, I evaluate it before I say it on my show. If I were questioning whether or not it was a lapel explosive, I'm not going to get on my show without doing any research about lapel explosives and say it could have been a lapel explosive. Why would I do that? As a responsible person, I'm going to go look up, with the question that had been asked, I'm going to go look up every explosive device or mechanism associated with that, how it functions, how it operates. And then if I believe that based on research and evidence that it very well could be mechanically an explosive and it makes sense with the injury and everything else, I'll bring that to the forefront. But there is no indication that that is even possible, even physically possible. For a thing on your side to blow up and somehow hit you in the neck, that's not possible. So I would never say that. If I don't know unequivocally that this person was involved in somebody's death, I'm not going to say anything. It's not up to me to try to make you question everything that's going on, even if it's not reasonable. If I were to say Turning Point was behind Charlie Kirk's death, I am going to do some research first before I put that out there. Because if I'm wrong, I now have people questioning other people's character when I have no basis for it. So what do? You go to the drawing board and you say, okay, like in my case, I know Mikey. I'll call Mikey on the phone. I know Erica. I can call Erica on the phone. I know Terrell. I'll call Terrell on the phone. I know Andrew. I can call Andrew on the phone and say, hey, bro, what's up with these things? These are question marks. Can you answer them for me? And if he tells me in good faith, I can't answer because of this, then I need to find another source for information before I bring it to you. You can make a conspiracy about anything you want to make a conspiracy about and question the character of anybody at any time, anywhere. It's the way you can do it. But it's not right to do it that way. It's not right. If I go into business with a guy who's Jewish, anybody can say, look, it's a Jew thing. The Jew, Brandon's a Zionist. Here you go. We got him. He getting paid $7,000 because he went into business with a guy who's ethnically a Jew. That's not how you do it. If you got a conspiracy, you got some question mark, you need to have some evidentiary value to the question mark. This last point I want to make, and then we're going to move on. When I say evidentiary value to question marks, that means that you have to have a conclusive hypothesis. You can't just say, I think Joe killed Jim. I think Joe killed James. Okay, Joe killed James. And I think Joe killed James because when James got killed, Joe turned his phone off. Okay. But maybe, just maybe, before you throw that out there, find out, is there any other possibility as to why the phone was turned off? Is there any other verifiable motive to why he would want James to be killed? Do your due diligence with that first. before you just throw a hypothesis out. I mean, throw a accusation out. Because if it comes out that there's a legitimate reason why his best friend turned his phone off when his friend was killed, you look like a fool. Not to the cult, but to rationalize people who see the truth. When the trial comes and they show you evidence of the 30-06, and they have forensic experts that show you how they track the gun to the bullet, and they have experts that show how this could not be faked. Then they have experts to testify to the chain of custody, which eliminates any conflict of interest. When they show surveillance video and they have witnesses take the stand, mom, dad, trans boyfriend, other witnesses that we haven't heard from, take the stand and identify this guy, people are going to look bad. Let's get to some other stuff I want to talk about. Chicago terrorist organization, Chicago terrorist event that occurred. The teacher whooping the socks off her kid, which I hope she go to jail for the rest of her life for doing it. I want to talk about Stephen A. Smith, Mom Donnie, and Scott Jennings, but you just hold on. We're going to get to it all. Let's go to the terrorist activity on the Chicago train. Now, this guy had a criminal record as long as the Nile River. Let me just talk about a couple of his criminal activities that he's done, which is another example why these people should be in prison. This whole, I want to give him a second chance. Give him a second chance in jail. There ain't nothing wrong with you giving him a second chance in jail. This guy aggravated arson in 2020, tried to set a fire outside of Thompson Center, which I'm assuming is in Chicago. Arson conviction in 2021, sentenced to 24 months in mental health probation. He's been probably charged with battery, trespassing, and all kind of other crimes. His probation ended December of all those crimes in December of 2023. How does a person like this with the propensity for violence end up getting out of jail? Let's talk about his charge real quick, and I'm going to show you the video. He was charged with executing an act of terrorism on a mass transportation system, which is up to life in prison. We got the Arizona revised statute. It's not. It's the code that they charged him with from the U.S. code. So it's Title 18, United States Code 1992, A7, B1, and C1. All right? And here's the language. Let's see. It says here, it is a serious federal crime to damage, attack, or try to sabotage trains, railroads, railroad equipment in any way that could hurt people or cause a crash. If someone does this on purpose, threatens to do it, or helps someone else do it, they can face a significant prison sentence. In this guy's case, he put this woman on fire, setting a fire to her and the transit system. And that's probably why they charged him with executing an act of terrorism. Now let's get to the news clip so we can go through this. Roll it.
26-year-old woman is still in the hospital fighting for her life after police say 50-year-old Lawrence Reed allegedly set her on fire while riding the train on Monday.
I'm getting multiple calls for, the Blue Line Clark and Lake. Says a female was set on fire at the location.
The U.S. Attorney's Office announced Reed is being charged with committing a terrorist attack against a mass transportation system. According to the criminal complaint, Reed allegedly poured gasoline over the woman's head and body.
He was literally sitting down. I've seen reports that there was an altercation or that there was some kind of a disagreement or argument that took place. Those statements are inaccurate and false. She was on her phone.
The woman, fully engulfed in flames, managed to run off the train. Investigators say Reed bought gasoline at a Chicago gas station about 20 minutes before the attack. Prosecutors say Reed has an extensive criminal history. He was previously charged in 2020 in connection with the fire at the Thompson Center.
Lawrence Reed had no business being on the streets given his violent criminal history and his pending criminal cases. Reed had plenty of second chances by the criminal justice system, and as a result, you have an innocent victim in the hospital fighting for her life. Because of the swift action of CPD, ATF, and our law enforcement partners, there will be no other chances for Mr. Reed.
This is Lawrence Reed's most recent booking photo, the latest in a long string of lockups. We found 49 arrests, including 10 felony cases and an active aggravated battery case from August, in which Reed was accused of hitting a social worker at McNeil Psychiatric Hospital, causing loss of consciousness, 2 ER visits, and lasting memory issues, headaches, and daily nausea. Cook County State's attorney asked a judge to keep Reed in custody until his trial for the August battery, but one judge put him on electronic monitoring before a different judge modified the monitoring hours. Still, this latest incident happened at a time when Reed would have been under active monitoring.
Now, when she survived this, she's going to be a 100 millionaire. Why do you say that, Mr. Tatum? The amount of failures that our government, their local, state, and all of them have had on this guy with this victim, and I bet she was white. Was she white? She looked white to me. Her legs looked white. Maybe she had white socks on. If she white, it's going to make it even worse, in my opinion, because that would have been one of the another incident that a man targeted a white person. They not saying nothing because she white. I'm telling you, she must be white. She wasn't black. What's her name? We're gonna find the lady's name, and I'll be able to tell you if she's black or not. When I look at the photos, you can't really tell. I look at her legs. See, she kind of look white right there. Pull it up on the screen. Pull it up on the screen. Yeah, see, that's him holding the fire in his hand, right? And then he walks over to her, right?
26-year-old woman, I don't have any details.
See, he then sets her on fire. Go to the next slide where she's on a gurney. It was a slide with her on a gurney, and I see her. See, I see her legs, but they white, but that could be white socks on her legs. I don't know, but it could be very well. But this guy should have been incarcerated or in a mental health facility. How did they let the guy out? 10 felony charges. You know how crazy that is? 10 felony charges. And he had an active aggravated assault charge. Active. Waiting for arraignment. And he goes out and he sets this woman on fire to kill her. And some people probably wonder, why did they not charge him with attempted murder? And in policing, there's the statutory, I won't say requirements, but tactics, meaning that they will charge you with the highest level of crime that they can charge you with, so you don't plead guilty down to the lesser charge. So if you're driving in a car and you're drunk in the state of Arizona, you got a kid in the back seat, they're not going to charge you with extreme DUI. They're going to charge you with child endangerment, which carries a higher penalty. And they're not going to charge you with the DUI at all. And so when they charge you with that, that's a higher penalty. Therefore, you can't plead guilty to aggravated DUI, which would be a lesser charge. And so in a situation like this, attempted murder is probably a less charge that don't carry life sentence versus a terrorist on a train. That's a federal felony charge where you'll get life in prison. I can't figure out the victim's identity, but it might come out that she ain't black. I'm telling you, she ain't black. That could be another reason. If they do it to a white woman, they don't want you to know, and they do it to a black woman, they don't care. That's how that works. All right, let's get to the Alabama teacher. Viewer discretion is advised. I'm going to say right away. I used to get whoopings like this, and it didn't look as bad as this. I guess it was bad. Now, I can't imagine whooping my kids like this. This woman got Teacher of the Year, right, Grant?
Yes,
May of this year, she got Teacher of the Year. So I guess she loved your kids more than she loved her own kids, or she taking the stress from your kids and beating her own kids. Well, let's get to some of these clips. Clip 401. Let's roll with that. Roll it.
First on 5, a local teacher arrested, accused of abusing her own child. 44-year-old Randy Nicole Staples is out of jail on his $7,500 bond tonight on a charge of willful abuse of a child.
Cottage Hill Christian Academy? She a Christian teacher? And you smoking your kid like this? Y'all wait till you see a cheat. I was like, dang, lady, he get it. Roll the clip.
Child under 18.
Disturbing video went viral on social media today, landing the second grade Cottage Hill Christian Academy teacher in Metro Jail. News 5's Catherine Brook joins us now. And Kat, you spoke with the sheriff tonight about the investigation.
Yes, I did, Pete, Roseanne. And even though we cannot show the video, Sheriff Birch says what he saw goes far beyond a parent's discipline. Mobile County deputies began their investigation after a tip was sent through the Sheriff's Office Crime Tips page about a disturbing video of Nicole Staples allegedly hitting one of her children with a belt.
This was abuse and an assault, way beyond discipline. I think we counted around 20-something strikes, and then the jerking the child by the hair and striking. I think the last strike was across his arms.
Sheriff Birch says another sibling living in the home recorded the video and sent it to an older sibling who then posted it on social media.
Based on the fact that someone within the home, which we didn't know who it was at that time, felt the need to video that, told me that wasn't the first time that happened.
Last year, Staples was named Teacher of the Year at Cottage Hill Christian Academy. After her arrest, the school released a statement saying she's been fired. Cottage Hill Christian Academy prioritizes the well-being of children above all else. We will always act promptly, transparently, and responsibly when matters arise that may impact the safety or integrity of our school community. Sheriff Birch says for now, DHR has placed all the children with a family member in a case shocking to people who know Staples.
The bottom line, that will never be tolerated, and abuse is abuse. We're going to make sure the children get the resources that they need to help them cope with this. Hopefully she will feel the full force of the law when she faces a judge.
Staples has a bond hearing on Friday. In the studio, WKRG News 5.
All right, so let's start with this. I'm going to try to be fair about this whole thing. A lot of people, parents, be in jail if they got caught on tape whooping us when we were young. A lot of people. I got whooping like that. Now, my dad didn't go this far. Now, he probably didn't need to, because I'm sure them licks was harder than what she doing. But we used to get a whooping back in the day. Everybody got a whooping. I don't know. Maybe it was from slavery. Maybe black people whoop their kids way harder than white people. This is shocking to us, because white people that we knew when I was growing up didn't get whoopings, and we used to make fun of them. Like, white people don't even whoop their kids. Well, little did we know, we were abusing our kids, okay? Because we got a whooping with a belt, which was civilized to me. Some people I know, I cannot confirm or deny they were family members, whoop with extension cords. Getting whooped with switches. Go out there and get that switch. And you try to get the little one. Oh, you want to play? Now I'm going to go get a switch. You want to go get one, or you want me to get one? So if Auntie and them get the switch, it's going to be the bigger one. So you go out there and try to get you a happy medium between, I'm going to make her madder if I get this one, or I ain't finna get the thicker one. I'm going to try to get the one right in the middle. Pull it off the tree. Take them licks. House shoes. I cannot confirm it or not. People in my family get punched. Punched right in the chest. I remember, I can't confirm or deny that when we got arrested for smoking marijuana in a vacant house, that one of my cousins was getting whooped so hard that his daddy pulled a ceiling fan down. Bow, bow, bow. And it hit the ceiling fan. And he pulled the ceiling fan down. I can't tell you that, because I went over the house and it was sitting on the pool table, and I was like, what happened to your ceiling fan? And he got tore up. Now, I'm not trying to make fun of it. I'm just being real. I don't want to get on this woman case and try to act super crazy. She deserved to go to prison for the rest of her life for doing it to a kid, but I'm not going to act like people didn't do this when I was growing up. Now, I want y'all to be cognizant. If you got a weak stomach, it was actually hard for me to watch. We're gonna blur it out, but you're gonna at least see what happened, and you're gonna see how many times she popped this boy. So if you got a weak stomach, if you are underage or you don't want to see this, just skip the clip. But I think people need to see how egregious this woman was, because this wasn't a regular whooping. And mind you, I'm so soft, I don't even whoop my kid. I can't whoop my kids. I pop them on the butt like this with the fingers, and I still feel bad. My oldest son, I had to whoop him one time because he lied, and I said, you ever lie, I got to get you. You tell me the truth, there's consequences, but I ain't going to whoop you. I had to whoop him over there one time. But I wasn't going to do this. Imagine doing this to your kid, man. Like, if I was doing, put this in perspective. If I whooped my kid like this one whooped her kid, my kid would be bleeding in his pants and can't walk for a couple days. Ain't no way in the world you get away with it. Roll the clip.
No, you're not sorry. Because if you were sorry, you would do this stupid shit to begin with. You would make extra work on everybody else in this house because you won't clean up after yourself. Because you don't do what you're supposed to do. Do you understand me?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23.
You know what? Get up! Get up! Everybody else will say, please move to your goddamn work while ago.
And I think she slapped him at the end.
Neighbor's house.
And then she slapped him. Now you a dirty you a dirty, evil, stanky. You going to hell for what you did this boy. And if this and insane, I guess I'm assuming it's not the first time. How you hit a kid 20-something times, man? I already seen the clip without the censorship on it. But now I see it, even with the censorship on it, it make me mad. I hope she go to prison and somebody whoop her like that. That's what we should be doing. Like when you go to jail for something, somebody get to do it to you. Somebody whoop her with a belt 23 times and then slap the living daylights out of her in the face. And he got a whooping for not doing his chores. Ma'am, you need to whoop yourself. You a bad parent. If I gotta whoop you like that, I'm not teaching you right. I'm not being an example for you. Kids get on your nerves and they do stuff. My kids do stuff and I be wanting to throw them through a wall sometimes. But at the end of the day, it's you got to look in the mirror as a parent and say, what am I doing that my children are not behaving? Some of it is they just kids and they gonna misbehave like you did when you was a kid. But some of it is rebellion or whatever. But you got to show leadership to your children and be consistent with them, especially when they little. Like my little one, he made me want to kick him down the hallway sometime with his attitude. However, as an adult, they got a functional mind. You go, well, maybe I need to grab him and talk to him. Sit on the couch, pick him up, sit him on the couch. You can't do that. I'm not going to tell you again. You might have to pinch him a little bit. I had to give him a finger on him. Stop. I told you to stop. I told you to stop. Don't make me whoop you again. And I feel terrible that I popped him on the leg. But sometimes you got to balance it. The reason that I won't, because like I popped my little one a couple times and I felt like it didn't do nothing. You know what I'm saying? He stopped for a minute, but he was still doing. I say, well, I can't beat him. So I need to find a different strategy because I'm not going to be just whooping my kid. So I say, well, you know, maybe I do some research, go online, man, look up what people to say, how to deal with your kids when they're angry. You know, I let his mama deal with it too because I'm a little more on your head than she is. She go talking to him, whatever. And then when they get out of control, daddy got to jump in. But at the end of the day, y'all do some homework on how to raise your kids, man. Quit taking your job stress out on your kids. They didn't do the chores. Well, what kind of leadership are you showing your kids? Are you showing them what to do? Or you just get mad at them, taking out your frustration, what your parents did to you when you were a kid? You can't love your kid and beat them like that. For the 15th time or whatever. They videotape you. Other kids videotaping you now. You must have been beating the brakes off that kid. Anyway, let's get to the other story before I get too worked up on this lady. Stephen A. Smith come on in the show. All right, Stephen A. Smith, like always, I think he say profound things, to be honest. And I love that Stephen A. Smith has come across the creek, because at first he wasn't like that. And then he's now coming across. And I think that a lot of other people in his position, doing sports, black folks, they see his courage and they like, I believe the same thing Stephen A. Maybe I should say something. Let's pull him up on the screen and roll it.
Now, I know I made news and everybody was saying I didn't know what I was talking about when I was saying, why didn't the Democrats open the Epstein files? I understood. And I didn't mean to imply that Joe Biden could just snap his fingers and open it. You got to get jurisdiction from the courts to do that. I got that part. I totally get it. What I was saying was, whatever maneuvers you needed to exhaust to get the files open, just like this president and this administration could pull off stuff like that, so could have y'all over the previous 4 years when a different administration was in office. That's all I was saying. Whatever legal maneuvering you had to exercise in order to pull off getting those files open, don't tell me that you could not have done it. I'm just speaking about that as a layman. Where there's a will, there's a way. And you can't tell me that if you wanted those Epstein files opened over the previous 4 years, that you couldn't have found a way to get those files open. I'm not saying that there weren't laws put in place that prohibited you from doing so. I'm trying to say there's a workaround. Why? Because this is America. There's always a damn workaround. That's all I meant. Everybody want to get into the minutia. Oh, he said this, he said that. You're wrong. You're missing. Oh, stop it. Stop being children. You know exactly what I'm saying. When there's a will, there's a way. And if you can find it, you will. As a president, as a legislator. Period. So somewhere along the way, it appears, particularly as we learn more and more and more, that there was an incentive for various elected officials not to prioritize getting these files opened. Am I making it up now? Is it not making sense? This is what we have to pay attention to.
I agree with him 1,000%. I don't know why people are acting confused about the whole thing. Like, just quit lying about it. You know, and I hate the political climate that we live in, because everybody want to make things politicized. It's like, is it about the victims or is it not about the victims? Is it about political leverage or not? I think honest folk, which is probably most of our politicians are not honest people, they should be operating on a reasonable perspective, which means that it don't matter which side it comes from. It don't matter who can benefit politically. We should be advocating for victims to be taken care of and justice for them on both sides. And if there's justice to be had, both parties should come together to make sure that this is possible. Why? The thing is that the pressure is on under Trump, but not on under Biden. Why is that? The pressure should be on from both sides under both administrations. Why is it not? Why did they decide to release this when the government opened up? They could have released it with the government shutdown. They could have released it before the government shut down. Why did they wait till that time? Because you know it's political. It's not about the victims. It never was about the victims. It's about political leverage. They don't really care about Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein is not on the mind of most Americans. But somebody thinks somewhere they can find a political leverage point. Yeah, it's suspicious. Yeah, it's incredible how some of these things transpired with Jeffrey Epstein and the prison system and all this other stuff. But at the end of the day, I think it's a bunch of political jargon. I think it's a bunch of political mess. They're going to release these files, man, and it's probably going to embarrass a few people, and that's going to be the end of it. These people that claim that they're victims, some of them are victims, and they need justice. They deserve justice. I mean, he's dead now, so he probably went to hell, so that may be a little bit of justice, but some people, they can just expose the people that abuse them, but they don't. Why? Is there money in this? Is there a settlement in this? You would think that if somebody abused you, or like at least your attorney would call their name out. Legal documentation that they abused you. You could sue them civilly, and you could disclose and put their name out. We shall see. All right, I want to go to Scott Jennings real quick, and then maybe we'll save Mom Donnie for tomorrow. Let's go to Scott Jennings real quick. low IQ Scott, what Scott Jennings said was low IQ to somebody else, and then they try to make it a race thing. You know, the funny thing is, and you know, white people can't not be on CNN or in societies with black folks. But they try to create a situation where white people can't really criticize black people the way black people criticize white people. They created an environment like that. So that means that if Scott Jennings was a black dude and he said the exact same thing he said, it'll be very hard pressed for them to say the things to him. But since he's white, they got this worked in victim thing where if he say anything to somebody that they don't like and they can't beat him in an argument, they got to say he's a racist. Roll the clip.
Scott, you keep saying, well, he didn't do anything. There's no indication of criminality. If that's true, he should be elated that we're putting these things out.
If that's true, it is true. Can you name any evidence?
I would like to see the evidence. What I'm saying is...
You think after 10 years of public life, you wouldn't know it already?
No, I don't. That's exactly the point.
Oh, my goodness.
Scott,
this is an IQ test. Don't fail it. Come on, man.
Scott,
10 years Donald Trump has been in public life.
That's embarrassing.
Come on.
Scott, it is an IQ test. I mean, for 10 years, we haven't heard any names. So you really think that no one's involved?
No, obviously. Larry Summers was involved. Stacey Plaskett was involved. There's all kinds of people involved with Jeffrey Epstein.
If someone was...
Just real quick, I just want to bring it back to something that just happened.
I want y'all to understand this, right? Y'all catch that? We're going to play that again for y'all. I want you to catch this real quick. Scott Jennings said, this is an IQ test, don't fail it. The host said, that's right, this is an IQ test, right? He said it was an IQ test. She said it was an IQ test. Now, how did they get to Scott Jennings being racist? Roll the clip.
Scott, this is an IQ test. Don't fail it. Come on, man. Scott, 10 years Donald Trump has been in public life.
That's embarrassing.
Come on.
Scott, it is an IQ test. I mean, for 10 years, we haven't heard any names. So you really think that no one's involved?
No, obviously. Larry Summers was involved. Stacey Plaskett was involved. There's all kinds of people involved with Jeffrey Epstein.
If someone was...
Just real quick, I just want to bring it back to something that just happened. I feel like I just heard Scott call into question this black man's intelligence with the IQ test.
That's what you heard.
I feel like I heard that. And so I just want to say something. This is what it sounded like.
You want to make it racial? Go ahead, but it's ridiculous.
Well, I mean, I think that...
By the way, we know each other and we're friends. I know this man. He's a smart guy, and we're having a debate. We're having a debate. Don't make it into so. We don't even know each other, but we do.
This actually relates back to the topic that we're having, Scott. There is you're sitting here with so much confidence without seeing all of the documents that Donald Trump is innocent. There is a presumption of guilt that a black man walks around the United States with, that I have been watching Donald Trump navigate this situation with the presumption of innocence that is never afforded to us, right? This is the same guy that is trailing 29 rape allegations. And we have videos of him saying things like, grab him by the you-know-what. Just the very fact that he's connected to the country's most egregious pedophile, that fact alone is enough for us to ask questions about if it's a disqualifying factor for leadership. So I just don't know why you're so fervent right now saying that I know for a fact he has nothing. Can we see the files and make that decision? Scott?
Look, here's what I think. It's been going on for 10 years. If there was a shred of anything to know about Donald Trump, we would already know it. What do we know? We know
absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence.
We know that Donald Trump knew Jeffrey Epstein, and we know that he excommunicated him from Mar-a-Lago and his life. We also know that after Epstein was convicted, that powerful Democrats continued to stay in touch with Jeffrey Epstein. This is not a story about Trump. It is a story about powerful men. Many of them are in the Democratic Party. We're going to find that out. You can't wash away the politics.
We got to hit pause on this conversation.
Republican versus Democrat.
That's because every Democrat goes on TV and accuses Trump of having done something
any of these files, by the way.
You know how crazy that is, man? Like, I don't know why he make black people look bad. Bro, you really had to jump to the presumption of Donald Trump has been accused of so many things he didn't even do. Like a lot of people laugh and say Donald Trump is the first black president. They're accusing that man of everything with no evidence. Like, the thing is, you got a brother on there saying he has the presumption of innocence that black people like me don't get. No, he doesn't. They're actually presuming that he's guilty, and there's no evidence that he did anything. They're presuming he's guilty because he knew the guy. He kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago like decades ago, over a decade ago. And he has no involvement with Epstein whatsoever. Ghislaine Maxwell, in her deposition, said that she don't even really know Donald Trump. The young lady that ended up killing herself, unfortunately, in her document, she said Trump had nothing to do with it. One of the victims' lawyer came out and said that Donald Trump was the most cooperative out of anybody he talked to. Dershowitz said, I think his name was Dershowitz, he said that when he was Jeffrey Epstein's client. I mean, Jeffrey Epstein was his client. He said he asked him, do you have any names that I can give out so I can get you a sweetheart deal so we can get you off? He mentioned Donald Trump. He said, I have nothing to give on Donald Trump. All of that evidence, and they still presume he has something to do with it. It's not the presumption of innocence. That's a presumption of guilt because it's Trump. Hakeem Jeffries had a little something going on. They don't even talk about him. That Democrat was texting Epstein after he was a convicted pedophile or sex offender. They don't bring her name up. Larry Summers, they don't bring his name up. Nobody's saying anything, but it's Donald Trump. And the brother wants you to think it's a black thing. And it's funny because the guy who Scott Jennings said it to didn't have a problem with what he said. It's the dude in the middle trying to be Negro spiritual and coming up with this presumption of black guilt. According to who, bruh? If you doing the right thing, ain't nobody presuming you doing nothing wrong. It's when you doing wrong and they catch you and then, they say, well, I told you so. It's not a presumption. It's what you doing, your actions. I ain't never went somewhere and the cop was like, you must have did it because you black. It's like, no, I didn't. Now, if I'm selling dope on the corner and he came and got me, then why am I going to get mad at somebody over that? All right, anyway. I could talk 100 years about this, but I love you and I'll see y'all on the next one. I'm out.
Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave. I'm a proud American from my birth to the grave. 47